So, greetings for everyone. So, for today's topic is all about a background of the study and citing sources. So, we begin in the background of the study. In the beginning of a research, the first chapter of the research paper is entitled The Problem and Its Background. Its purpose is to introduce the problem and clarify important variables, its delimitation, and its significance of the field of the study. So, background of the study has a 6 main components, which is rationale, setting of the problem, literature foundation, seriousness of the problem, general objective, and lastly, for general purpose. So, firstly, what is a rationale? So, rationale is answered by sharing reasons why the researcher decided to look for solution to the problem. The rationale may include the narration of personal experience, a description of an article read, a scene witness, news heard, or a theory that needs to be clarified. And also the rationale may be local, national, or international. So for the next one, the second one is the setting of the problem. What is the setting of the problem? Setting forms part of the delimitation of the study. It identifies the geographic boundaries and certain demographic characteristics of the research. Describes where the research was conducted, since the setting has significant bearing on the variables being studied. And the description of the setting, its distinctable character must be highlighted. In short, the setting of the problem is the where the researcher was conducted. So the third one is all about a literature foundation. So, what is the basic literature foundation? This part seeks to provide the researcher clarity on the terms of variables used in the study. Terms and variables must be clear to the researcher for an easy understanding of the readers. And sufficient background can assist the investigators in determining the boundaries of the study. So the fourth one, about the seriousness of the problem. How serious is the chosen research problem? The researcher is tasked to identify the intensity and magnitude of the problem. Most cases of the researcher at this point looks for statistical or quantitative experience to assess the significance problem of hand. So in short, the discuss or indicate the SOP. So for number 5, about the general objective. What is the general objective of the problem? This is the general statement of the problem of the major task on the researcher to discharge and should be also be the basis of enumerated statement of the specific problem. Or in short word, this is the objective or aim. So lastly, we have the general purpose. General purpose is to improve the performance of science structures, which will result to improve students' performance in achievement, examination, and a positive impact or school effectiveness. So that is the background of the study. Again, it has a 6 main components. It has 6 components, which is the rationale, setting of the problem, literature foundation, seriousness of the problem, general objective, and lastly, general purpose. So, we proceed to the citing sources. Citing sources. A research paper must include references. It must be consistent and simple to read across all articles. Citation styles are predetermined styles that specify how they should be formatted. One of these is the format established by the American Psychological Association, or APA, because of its simple and direct format. This is commonly recognized as APA style and frequently termed the author's date format. So, citing sources. A researcher utilizes parentheses to reference the author's names and the publication date in this way. Because the names of the authors can be put with the information being mentioned, this is also known as the in-text citation. The citation can be written in a variety of ways depending on the numbers of authors and other considerations. So, here's an example of a citing sources. First one is using in-text citation. So, what is in-text citation? When you reference another source, use an in-text citation in the body of the paper, basic format. So, for our in-text citation, so first of all, what is in-text citation? Using in-text citation, when you reference another source, use an in-text citation in the body of your paper. So, for the basic format, we have the open parentheses, and the next one is the author's last name, comma, and the next one is the organization year and close parentheses. That is the how you format the basic format in in-text citation. So, next one, this is the direct quotes. So, what is direct quotes? If you are quoting the exact word of someone else, introduce the quote with an in-text citation in parentheses. Any sentence punctuation goes after the closing parentheses. So, for example, according to Brown, and the next one is the year, and the exact word of the direct quote or whatever it is, and the last one is the page of the reference material. So, for our summarizing or paraphrasing or summarizing the main findings or takeaways from a research article in the preferred method of citing sources in an APA paper. Always include the last name of the authors and the year of the article, so your reader can find the full citation in the reference list. Citing a work with, so one author, you only need the author's last name and the year. So, for example, open parentheses, the author's last name, comma, and the year, and the lastly for our close parentheses. So, for the second one, the two authors, connect both authors' last name with an or ampersand and include the year. So, for example, to the two authors, it's gonna be a open parenthesis, the both name of the author's last name, and to connect both author's last name, you will have the ampersand and comma, and lastly for our year and the close parentheses. So for the third one, the three or more authors, so it said that if there are three or more authors, use et al, which means and others. So this example, open parentheses, the author's last name, and use the et al, which means again and others, and we'll have the period, comma, and the lastly this the year and the close parentheses. So, and the last one, the group authors, first time with an abbreviation. So this is the example, open parentheses, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, and the year 2019. So here's the format in writing a reference. So first one, we have a journal article. So list each author's last name and initial as author. Use an ampersand before the final author's name. So the second one is year. So the third one is title of the article. Note or take note, for works that are part of the greater whole, use sentence case. Only the first word of the title and subtitle and proper nouns are capitalized. So for the second one, we have a news or magazine article. So a news and or magazine article, list each other last name and initial as author. Use an ampersand before the final author's name. So the second one, you have to put the year, month, and date. And take note, you do not need to abbreviate the month. So for the third one, title of the article. So take note, for words that are part of the greater whole, use sentence case. Only the first word of the title and subtitle and proper nouns are capitalized. So for the fourth one, title of the newspaper or publication. Take note, italicize and capitalize each word in the publication. And the final component of the news and magazine article is the URL. So let's proceed to the number 3, which is the book. List each other's last name and initial as author. Use an ampersand before the final author's name. So, and the second one is for the year. And the third one is the title of the book. And take note, for works that stand alone, italize the title, only capitalize the first word of the title and subtitle and any proper pronouns. So the fourth one, we have a edition. So take note, if there are an edition or volume, include it in the parentheses and use abbreviation of ed or vol. For the fifth one, we have a publisher. So take note of this. You do not need to include the publisher location or databases where you retrieve it. So the next one, we have a book chapter with the editors. List each chapter's author's last name and initial as author. Use an ampersand before the final author's name. The second one, we have to put the year. The third one is the title of the chapter, and take note of this. For works that are a part of the greater whole, use sentence case. Only the first word of the title and subtitle and proper nouns are capitalized. And the fourth one, we have in editors. List each editor's last name and initial as A, or this example of A and editor. So include the ED or EDS in parentheses and end it with a comma. So for the fifth one, we have the title of the book. So take note of this. For works and that stand alone, italize the title. Only capitalize the first word of the title and subtitle and any proper nouns. So for the last one, for the last part of the book chapter with editors, we have the publisher. And take note of this. You do not need to include the publisher location or databases where you retrieve it. So next one, we have the web page, which is the list each other's last name and initial as author. If there is no author, spell out the names of the organization or site. So the next one, we have to put the year, month, or the date. Take note of this. Read more about the date formats from the APA style website. Provide us specific data as available. Use the date last updated, but not the date last review or copyright date. If there is no date, use open parentheses .d and close parentheses. So for the title of the page or section, italize the title of the page. For the last one, we have the source. Take note of this source. We have usually the official name of the website. If the source would be the same as the author, you can omit or commit the source to avoid repetition. So for the last part of our citing sources, we have a dissertation or thesis. So the first one is the author. List the author's last name and initial as author. This is usually only one author for a thesis or dissertation. You don't need to include any faculty advisors. For the second one, we have a year, month, and the date. For take note, we have to provide as specific a date as is available. For the third one, we have the title of the dissertation or thesis. It can be doctoral dissertation, master's thesis, or name of the university. Take note of this. For the title and subtitle and any proper nouns, the title page will indicate whether it's doctoral dissertation or master thesis and list the name of the university granting the degree. So for the fourth one, we have the source. Include the name of the database or institutional repository where you can access the work. And the final, we have the URL. Oh, take note of this. We have the if available, it's available. That's it. Thank you.